Guys, in my hand is the Elgato HD 4K 60 Pro Mark II. In the box, it says 4K 60 Pro. On the card, it says 4K 60 Pro, but it is in fact the Mark II. You know by the smaller size that it is the Mark II. So if you're getting the Elgato 4K 60 Pro, make sure you get the Mark II. Remember, it doesn't say Mark II on the card, it doesn't say Mark II on the box, but the Mark II is a smaller card. And why do you want the Mark II? Just check out the spec, guys. The Mark II is way better than the Mark I. Plug and play. You put this in to any computer, any PC. I can use it on OBS, vMix, boom, right away. I don't install any drivers. Plug and play, guys. And this thing is a serious capture card. This is not your typical USB capture card. If you want just a USB capture card, you can get what? The Camlink 4K, boom, you got that. Or you want the HD60S Plus. This one has USB and a pass-through. That's great too. You want this? This is a serious capture card, guys. This is a 4K 60 Pro Mark II capture card. This one is a PCIe card. That means you install this card into a tower computer. This is not a USB capture card. What's so great about this? Well, check this out. On the top right here, you see that? You have input and output. That means you can use this card to capture 4K 60 frames per second at 10-bit color. If you don't care for that kind of quality, then this card's not for you because this is a performance-oriented capture card. Not only does it capture 4K 60 frames per second at 10-bit color, it has an output. Do you see that right there? The output? The output lets you have a lag-free pass-through. That means not only can you capture 4K 60 frames per second, 10-bit color, but you can pass through with zero lag. 4K 60 frames per second, 10-bit color too. What does all that mean? Well, if you're a gamer and you're serious about frames per second, you're serious about that tiny bit of lag because that will affect your gameplay, then this card is definitely for you. Because you know when you capture stuff into your computer, what you see on OBS or what you see in your streaming software, that is gonna have some lag. It's gonna be a little bit laggy. And if you try to play and respond to that image, it's not gonna be so good for your gaming skills, right? But what this does is it has a lag-free pass-through, right? So your HDMI source goes in here, whether you're getting the footage from a console, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox, Xbox One, whatever input as the HDMI, right? You have an output. This output right here, check it out, right there. If you can focus on that output right there, right? The output has zero lag. It can go to a TV that's 4K. And that output will look just like you're now capturing. No lag, so it's perfect. Then, this card processes the 4K 60 frames per second capture. So while you're playing on the big screen TV at 4K 60 frames per second with no lag at all, you're also capturing 4K at 60 frames per second. And you can stream this, you can record this, you can do whatever you want with that footage. Again, did I say? Plug and play. You put it in your computer, you're ready to go. You don't need to install any driver. It works fine with OBS, works fine with vMix, it works fine with a lot of capture software without installing drivers. They even have their own drivers if you want to install their own Elgato software to capture. That works great too. But for me, plug and play, I use it with vMix, I use it with OBS. It shows up as a capture card. Boom, it just works. It really works. Elgato stuff just works. Now this card has one cool trick that no other capture card can do. So as you get the footage coming in from this capture card, you can use it in multiple sources. For example, this footage can come into like vMix or OBS, but at the same time, you can also use the same input on Skype or Zoom at the same time. A lot of other capture cards, or mostly all the other capture cards I use, if you're using it in one software, then you can't use it in other software at the same time. With this card, at least for two softwares, I was able to use it with OBS/vMix. At the same time, I can capture it in Skype or Zoom at the same time. So again, this is the Elgato 4K 60 Pro Mark II. Make sure you get the Mark II, guys. The Mark II. The better version of the card is the 4K 60 Pro Mark II. It's cheaper, it runs cooler, it works better, plug and play out of the box. If this is a card that you're looking for, you know the specs, you want this is the best capture card that Elgato makes for anyone that wants to capture and pass through in 4K 60 frames per second 10-bit color. That's it, guys. I have this card in my main computer. I actually have two of these cards in my capture rig and they work great. Boom, Elgato 4K 60 Pro Mark II capture card. I dig it. I really do. I really love this card. And I think you will too, especially if you know you need the 4K 60 capture and the 4K 60 pass-through. Lag-free. Elgato, the best brand for capture card devices.